So first of all, welcome to all of you here tonight for our Senior Family Forum. This idea actually came from a parent, a 12th grade parent back in December when we had one of our general family forums, which we'll be having another one actually at the end of the month. But it came from a parent suggesting that we do this just for the 12th grade families. And so I thought that was a great idea and wished I had thought of it myself, but I did not. And so we scheduled that right away. So that's why we're here. We're here to talk about our 12th graders and our concerns for them and ways that we can make the rest of the year a positive experience for them. I will say up front, I mean, who could have predicted this? Who ever thought this was going to happen? When we were, planning graduation last year for the kids and thinking about what we could do, and the state regulations were changing on us constantly for the class of 2020. Did we ever think in that moment that we were going to be dealing with just as much, if not more, for our class of 2021? I don't know if there was anyone in the United States, maybe there were, that could have predicted this situation, but here we are, right? Here we all are. Are we all happy to be in the situation that we're in? Absolutely not. Your kids would love to be in school. We would love to have them in school. We would like coronavirus to go away. We're all very much looking forward to and following the vaccination process very, very closely. They are telling us that it's looking like the end of February and March, from what I heard from the Commissioner of Education last week. So we have our fingers crossed for vaccine, just the way all of you do as well. I am having problems with my eyes tonight, which is unusual for me. But we're on the computer just like your kids are all day long. And so, we want to do the right thing by your children. And we want to make sure that they do have an experience that they can remember. I will tell you, so Brianna is going to talk to you about some work that the student government students have been working on, some plans. We would like to talk about, Mike's going to talk to you a little bit about graduation and what we did last year and what we think we can do. What kind of things can we do outside when the weather starts getting better, depending upon what the state regulations are. So we want to make sure that we are able to create those events as close to what we would do in a normal year for your students as we can. There was one comment on the questions that came in about, is it too late? And absolutely, it's not too late. It's never too late. We're going to, we've been working with the kids. You're going to hear from Brianna about that. And we've got some ideas. But one of the reasons that we're here tonight is to hear your ideas. What's some creative, out of the box kind of things that we can do to make this year memorable for the kids. And I think that if we all work together, that we can come up with some things that are going to be great for them. Just tell you a little story. Gosh darn my eyes. But a little story from last year. It was, some of you may remember if you had one of your children graduate last year, but we had gotten news from the state very last minute. It was like a Friday night kind of a thing, because they do like to send things out on Friday nights. And it basically, it sounded like it really was going to shut down graduations, and they were only going to allow people to have drive-through graduations and things like that. And it was extremely disappointing for all of us. And we made some very quick decisions. I remember where I was and where I was sitting at the time. We were all feeling very discouraged ourselves. Everybody was traumatized in the country, and certainly we were no exception from that. But a group of us got together and we were like, fine, I guess they've just taken it all from us. And we called it. We said we were going to do a drive-through graduation like the state had suggested. And we got some very quick feedback, as you can imagine. But there were a couple things that stood out to me in particular. One was a parent who I knew, who emailed me very quickly and kind of listed out all the things that that particular class had missed over the years, and just pleaded with me to please reconsider. And she said to me, she said, Ellen, I know you guys have your hands full. We will help you. You tell me, and I will help you. I will get a group of parents together, and we will make this graduation happen. We will work with you. And I can't tell you the sense of relief that brought to us, because at the time, it felt like an impossible situation, like everything was kind of crashing in on us, because, we may be school administrators, but we're really just people when it comes down to it, just like you. And it felt like an impossible situation, and she offered us a lifeline. And I remember saying to Mike, Mary's going to help us, and we can make this happen. And he said, okay, I got this. Brianna and I got this. And they're going to talk a little bit about what they planned. The other piece was that, of course, as folks were upset, because it's what we do, they hit AMSA chat and were really upset. And there was a lot said on AMSA chat about the decision that we had made. And I get it. I have 4 children of my own. I've been through senior year 4 times. I've been through prom dresses. I've been through tuxes. And I knew that our kids' hearts were breaking, and our families' hearts were breaking, and people were upset. And I was reading through the comments, and there was one parent who said, she said, I know this administration, they've always put the kids first. Give them time to let the dust settle. Give them time. They're going to do the right thing. And I thought, okay, now we've got someone that's reached out and has offered a helping hand, and we've got someone else who is saying, I have faith in them. And sometimes, as adults, as students, as seniors, that's sometimes all we need to get through the hard times, right? Someone who's willing to offer a helping hand, and somebody who's willing to say, I believe in them. And sometimes that faith is enough to propel us forward and make things happen. So we've learned a lot since then. And we know we can pull off a really great graduation. And we know we can do it together. There's all kinds of things that we can do and that we can make happen for your kids. We would love to have you as partners with us in that. We would love to hear from your kids about what they want, what would be special to them. I can tell you what I think would be special to them, but I'm 57 years old, and who cares what I think? We want to know what they think is going to help this year to be survivable for them. So, we haven't made a decision yet about third term. We know that's due. It's not the purpose of our call tonight. The purpose of our call really is to talk about your seniors, the issues facing them. I understand that they're isolated. I'm still sitting in my kitchen, so I understand that. But what can we do to make this work? We will be getting a decision out. I hope by next Friday. We just did a survey with our staff yesterday, and we're collecting data from them until Friday. And so we will see how that comes through, and we'll get some more information out for you. I will tell you that some of you who are following along with our HVAC system, I'll give you the latest information on that. You may remember that in my letter that went out in November, I said that it was going to go through a certification process, and that we got the initial report back around Thanksgiving time, and then they went and the company came back in, and basically what the first one was just like, okay, let's find out what the air circulation is in each room in all 3 buildings. And then the second one was, okay, now we know where we are. Let's make all the adjustments to the dampers and to the system and to the vents and all, to get each room in each space having the proper amount of airflow circulations. And that's 6 circulations per hour in a classroom, and it's 10 in a room like a cafeteria or like our big open foyer in the upper school building. So when they went in December, it was the Thursday before break, and then the second one was we had a snowstorm, you may remember, and then there was the one they came again during break. And what they determined was that the control system in the 3 buildings that are gone. They're old, not replaceable, and the air control systems need to be it's out to bid right now to get the new air control system. And it will be a system that will control all 3 buildings. And the important part about that, for those of you out there who are engineers and things like that, so there's a thermostat in each room. And the heat comes in, and let's say the thermostat is set for 72. The damper goes up, the warm air flows in, and as soon as that 72 is satisfied, the damper closes, and it stays closed until the thermostat flips it and tells it to go back open. Now, the problem with that is that when it closes, because the temperature's been satisfied on the thermostat, there's no movement of the air. And there's no movement of the air, we found out, because the damper closes. Now, what is supposed to happen, and if our air control system was working, which we didn't realize it wasn't, but if it was working, what happens is that it doesn't close all the way. Once the temperature is satisfied in the room, it closes most of the way, but there's still air flowing, and still air flowing at 6 circulations per hour, or 10 in a cafeteria. Okay, so it has to do with this air control and the fact that we always need to have continuing air flowing in and out of those rooms. Now, we bought air purifiers for the classrooms, and they have UV lights on them, and they will kill the germs and things that are in the air. We've invested a lot of money into those, but they will not clean the air in the big spaces like the cafeteria or the media center. Because those rooms are just too big for that to be effective. So that's just to kind of give you an update. That's where we are at the moment. As I said, we have to get our bid. Have to go through the bidding process for the state. We've already started that. That got started right after the holiday, and we're just waiting to get our bids back, and then we will get that replaced ASAP. And that is where I am at the moment. I'm going to turn the time now over to Mike and Brianna, and Kate Driver, our Director of School Counseling, is here with us also, and she is going to introduce a very special person to you.
Is Kate there? There she is.
Yep, I'm sorry. I'm having so many computer issues tonight. I updated my computer and things are just a little funny. So it's my turn to do a quick intro. Is that okay, cool. Someday I will have audio that works all the time. So I wanted to pop on and just briefly introduce Chris Dugan to you. So I know that I know a couple things about all of you. I know that you have had a few different counselors over the last few years. So some of that is by design. You all had the pleasure of working with Wiley Culhane for 8th, 9th, and 10th grade. And then the plan has always been that students transition to a more college and career focused counselor for 11th and 12th grade. And that's something that that we had done. You all had last year with the wonderful Amber Hampton. And then she had a baby over the summer. And then, as you know, I think she emailed all of you, she had to make a really difficult decision about whether or not to send her very young child to daycare. And also was asked to relocate for her husband's job. And I know that she told you that, and so I feel comfortable saying that to all of you. And I think that there are a lot of life choices that many of us have been, forced to make, pushed to make in this pandemic that are not necessarily what we'd expected. And I know that Amber didn't expect to not come back after her maternity leave. But I try to walk the line of being an eternal optimist and also a realist, which some days I'm one and some days the other. But I think this fall I've really tried to be an optimist, and I think that every time there's turnover, it's really hard, but it also gives us a new opportunity for a new start and a new relationship. And I always go into hiring and I've been hiring in many jobs for a long time. I always go into hiring thinking about, who can really add something new to our department, whether it's new energy, a new point of view, a new idea, potential to take on a piece of the work in counseling that we haven't been taking on. And so, I'm really, really excited to get to introduce Chris to you. And he will also speak briefly and introduce himself. But I think one of the things that I was most struck by in the interview process this spring was really two things. I think Chris has a really interesting background and is coming to this work from a great place and a place of real interest in getting to know and help students. And I think secondly, I was immediately struck by his kind of kindness, gentleness, and thoughtfulness. And I really think that, though your students will only have, a couple of months to get to know him, this is going to be a time where they may need somebody to bounce ideas off of, and they may want to talk to somebody about, like, hey, this is what I'm looking at. These are the schools I'm thinking about. What do you think? And I think that he's going to be a really helpful and supportive sounding board to help them make some of those decisions, and also to talk to as they continue to navigate living through the craziness that we're all living through. And so I think that you will really find him, and your students will really find him very helpful and thoughtful. And I really look forward to you getting to know him in whatever context feels appropriate for you at this point in your AMSA journey. And I really look forward to, to him getting to know you guys a little bit, because you're wonderful people who have lived through many different things at AMSA and have been here with us, many of you, for 7 years. And you offer a lot of valuable wisdom. We actually had 3 seniors who I may be on this call, involved in our interview process, because we want to, the school better than anybody. Anyway, so it's a long way of introducing Chris Dugan, our new hire, but I wanted to give him a quick moment moments to say hello to everybody. So Chris, take it away.
Thanks, Kate. Thanks for that intro. I feel pressure now. But no, seriously, thank you guys. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Brianna. Thank you, Mike. I've talked to you guys. I've already talked to a few students and a couple parents over the last week since starting last week, but I'm super happy and super pumped to be here at AMSA. As kind of crazy, obviously, as this whole last year has been, I know it hasn't been easy for anybody. And just to give you guys background and transparency on me, as Kate said, I come from my background for the last 6 years. I worked as a sports producer covering high school sports. So I kind of worked along with high school students, not at a school per se, but with a lot of high school students and kind of in the extracurricular activities when they would come into my job, and I'd help them along if they had interest in that area. So I'm very excited to now, be in education finally. It was kind of a long road for myself. I graduated my program last spring. So it definitely, graduating grad school in the pandemic did not feel normal. So I know a little bit of how, these students feel, right, in terms of kind of finishing up your schooling, what that feels like, and not being able to feel like to have that sense of completion. Like it always feels like something's missing, right? I totally get that and understand that. So I'm here to help. And I guess, I don't want to go on this huge long-winded response. You'll get to know me these next few months. I tend to do that. So I apologize in advance, but I'm here to help in any way that I can. If you ask me a question and I don't know the answer about it, or I need to double check, I'm going to be honest with you and tell you that. Find the answer that I need to. I'm still getting used to AMSA myself here, so I know some things, but I know everybody does things differently, so I kind of have to adjust to that a little bit myself. But again, if there's any question you guys have, any way that I can help, please reach out, and I'm happy to do so.
All right, thanks, Chris. I guess I'll take over from here. So, welcome everyone. Thank you all for taking the time to come out tonight on this. Sometimes I forget what day of the week it is, but it is Tuesday, correct? Yeah, like it doesn't really matter too much anymore, in my world at least. So, yeah, thank you all for coming out. I see some student names out there. I don't know if that's the parents or the students or both. I see student and parent together as well, which is great to see. I'm glad you're all here. I want to touch base on graduation. I know that some questions popped up regarding the graduation ceremony, which we do have scheduled right now. It's on the books with Hanover Theater out in Worcester on Sunday, June 6th. Will that happen at the Hanover? I don't know. If I had to guess, if I had to bet on that, I would probably say we'd have some difficulty hosting a graduation that would allow, all of the guests that we would, the capacity that we would desire, I believe would probably not make the cut for that event, but maybe it will. So it's on the books for June 6th. Last year, as if anyone here had a child that graduated the class of 2020, or if you happen to check out our live stream of the graduation event, or you just heard about it, we did host graduation at Four Kicks outdoors. It was July 19th. It was the first available date for an in-person graduation, according to DESE's guidance that came out over the summer. So we did host something on a Sunday. It was probably about 105 degrees on the turf, on the rubber turf out there. Other than that, the temperature, which really, for me was a big deal. Someone who doesn't deal well with heat. Other than that, I thought it was a great event. It was very, very, very close to home, pretty much on our campus, and it worked out quite well. So I do want everyone to know that we're already we've already contacted Four Kicks. I have a meeting with them. I think it's Thursday at 9 a.m. or maybe Friday at 9 a.m. It's this week in the morning, meeting with the managers over there, who I know will be more than happy to once again host us, allow us to run graduation there as a backup plan. I was a little nervous about the event last year. So, as Ellen mentioned, we had some parents that, reached out to us, offered their help. And we met a few times as a committee with senior student government representatives last year. Parents, we had our director of operations, our facilities director, myself, Brianna, we were all in the same room, same Zoom. And, we planned this whole thing out. We have a very nice blueprint, I think, if we do need to initiate that once again and execute that type of graduation. Now, I'm hoping that we have there are less restrictions on the amount of guests and the amount of people that we can have. It was limited last year. Again, that was in July of 2020. There was still some uncertainty. I don't think we knew nearly as much as we do now about coronavirus and all, and how it spreads. And, we've learned a lot, and the vaccinations are in full force right now. So by the time we hit the middle of this calendar year, I'm hoping that if we cannot have it indoors, that we could, if we do end up having it outdoors at Four Kicks, I'm hoping that we had to limit the number of guests and things of that nature last year. So we do have a backup plan. It's already in motion. Like I said, a meeting with Four Kicks this week within the next 2 or 3 days. I was worried about how the event would look last year, if it wouldn't feel, we had never done anything like this before. I was worried about how it would look. Hanover Theater is it's a very nice little arena that they have there. Nice architecture, all of that. It's a nice venue. So we were concerned how this would all look when we threw it together on paper and had it all mapped out. I still was a little concerned. But once the stage arrived, we rented a stage, threw it out there on the field, had some nice decorations. We had a family that donated for the floral arrangements. We had the seating all mapped out with distancing between the family members. Sound system was great. We had like a little backstage station that some people worked at to make sure everything was going well. We had a nice backdrop that families could take pictures in front of after the ceremony. It was great. And anyone who was there, I
The
think
kids still do their speeches, Mike, and all the kids still do their speeches, and
yeah, it was a traditional graduation event. The only thing that was different is we didn't hand out the diplomas or shake hands. We had the photographer there. It was the same thing that you would expect, other than, like I said, handing out diplomas and shaking hands. And Ellen loves to hug all the graduates, and she didn't get a chance to do that last year. I'm not sure if that's going to happen this year, unfortunately, either. But again, we'll have to wait and see. So I do want everyone to know, you can, I'm sure it's still posted out there, Mike Finkel, we live streamed it. We live streamed that event. You could take a look. It's from one angle, so you wouldn't get the full picture, but it was a beautiful day, sunny day. The trees surrounding the fields. I don't know. It was really, really nice, and it really made me think about the future. One of my goals in general, I mentioned this to Alan and Brianna earlier at a meeting today, is to bring graduation closer to home in the future years, as far as keeping it within the core towns at least, and not having to travel too far away for graduation. So the 4 Kicks, I want everybody to know it went super well. It was great. The families, the students, I did not hear one complaint about the event, the way it looked, the way it operated. It was smooth sailing. It was great. And we had a huge team effort, collaborative effort, like I said, with students and parents, our staff members, administrators who showed up. It was awesome. So we have been thinking about that. I've been thinking about that since July 19th, 2020. I was thinking about this graduation, believe it or not, because I didn't really know what the future would lead us to. And then I'll pass over to Brianna. I know that she's going to speak more about some of the senior specific events that we run. I just want everybody to know, for the record, from me personally, you have my word that unless people higher up than us, like, town officials, city officials and things of that nature, if we're, as long as they don't tell us that, as long as they don't tell us we can't run an event for you guys out, whether it be outdoors, indoors, what have you, whatever we can make happen. Things like senior breakfast. Brianna can speak a little bit more to this, but we can hold that event, outside on our campus. Senior awards night, we did not host that last year. We ended up doing something different. We could make that happen virtually. Maybe we can do something outdoors one evening. Who knows? But just so everyone knows, I, and as well as the other administrators, are all about focusing on the senior specific events. It may feel like there's been a lull lately, and I think it's just because of the cold weather. There's really not much we can do on campus right now. Our buildings are not really ready to hold students based on all the HVAC factors and things of that nature, and it's freezing cold outside. But I'm telling you right now, when the weather starts to turn and hopefully things start to open up, the vaccinations continue to come, we'll be ready to do whatever we possibly can. So students who are out there listening, who have known me for a while, I hope you know that when I say things like that, I really do mean it, and parents as well. So we'll do what we can for you guys. And with that, I'll kick it over to Brianna to go into a little bit more detail.
Yeah, so it's nice to see all of you once again. So just a couple of things, I guess, on senior events. So I just first want to start by assuring everyone that we absolutely have had the seniors in mind since really the end of last school year. I know someone mentioned to me, last spring how they anticipating that it might be harder on this class than it was for the class of 2020, because, feeling like obviously the year would be disruptive, or disrupted rather. due to coronavirus, and sadly that has proven to be true. So we absolutely have had them all in mind. As you know, we started the school year later than usual, but have tried to keep some things, in the process as we normally would. So right before break, the student government planned a spirit week. Obviously, we didn't have color wars, but still tried to do like a color war day where people wore their color, their class color, and as they normally would, except for obviously we didn't have a pep rally, we didn't decorate the buildings and all that. Senior class had the opportunity to buy their senior shirts as they normally would in the fall as well. That's a very collaborative process, so they work with the advisors to do that. Our PTO also launched a Sponsor a Senior program that I know you've received a lot of emails about. When they came up with that idea, we were really thrilled to have kind of a first senior event to launch and to bring to the community. And again, the planning that has gone into that has been really impressive. So you'll see more things on that as it gets rolling in the next few weeks and, over the rest of the year. I work with the student government, which is up to 8 representatives from each of the high school classes. And our constant conversation has been, what can we do to help this feeling of community, in this remote nature that we have. So that's where the Spirit Week came from. We've now that has passed, the students have begun meeting in their committees and to again address that same question. The senior student government reps are sending out, it might have gone out today or it should go out at some point this week, a simple Google form for their class to fill out and just ask, like, what do you want to see? Because like Ms. Lindsay said, we have ideas of what, we could do for you, but we obviously are adults. We don't know, what you would be most interested in. I heard one person said today that like no one even wants to talk about a virtual prom, for whatever reason. So maybe not everyone feels that way, but that's exactly why that form will go out, so we can begin to get some input as to what you'd actually be interested in doing to, do something for your class, in case there's anything extra that we can do in more of a virtual format. But we, as Mike just said, we're absolutely committed to doing as much as we can as we normally would. So obviously graduation is the biggest event that we would hold normally. We also know that senior breakfast is a really big tradition that everyone looks forward to. I can tell you all the staff loves it too, because it's so great to see how the juniors provide for the seniors. And obviously it's the last day of school and all that as well. So whatever we can do according to whatever regulations that are in place at the time. Obviously the nice weather will hopefully bring about a lot of opportunities for us to meet and gather on campus and do something. Maybe it won't be the juniors providing the lunch, maybe we purchase it, to cut down on the actual contact that people have. But we were able to pull something off for last year's seniors. And again, we are 100% committed to doing the same for this year's group as well. I had a couple, I just keep looking at my notes because I want to make sure I get everything. I would say informally, there's a few of us who are more involved with the seniors, or groups of seniors, I should say. So Mike has a principals council that he meets with that is mostly juniors and seniors. And I know he gets a lot of perspective from them. He also has a Monday morning check-in group of seniors. As I mentioned, I have student government. I also advise Model UN. I also teach a course, so I try to keep in touch that way and just keep a pulse on what's going on. So again, a lot of us have really made an effort to make sure we're constantly checking in and just getting a sense of what the concerns are and where people are at, and just to again make just once more just to state very clearly that we are very concerned and have your best interests in our hearts, because we know this has been a really difficult year for you for a lot of different reasons. So I guess all of that is to say that we will definitely have certain events in place. We do want to gather that student feedback because I think that will make it the most authentic thing that it could be. So please, students, when you get that email, please fill out that form, and then that will trigger, the planning that we'll do to make those ideas a reality. So again, your input is very valuable to us and, makes all the difference for us in planning these sorts of things. Oh, and Mr. Finkel just said that the survey was sent out to seniors. So again, really simple Google form. It's 2 questions, so make sure you take the time to answer that. And again, that's going to go back to the senior student government representatives who work with me. They'll work with Mike too, and the class advisors as well, to start pulling all of that data together and seeing again what the biggest desires are for the class.
I was just noticing, Miss Murphy, that someone made the suggestion in the chat about the kids coming to the school in the warmer weather and decorating in green, decorating the outside. That's the kind of outside the box thinking that we need, right? Because that kind of makes me feel kind of warm and fun inside, So those are the kinds of ideas we need. Make sure that gets onto the survey. But those are the kinds of things that we could probably pull that off. That sounds fun.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. One thing I forgot to
Split
mention
them up,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I also forgot to mention that we did the senior car parade too, which is a big moment after the senior breakfast. We did that last year. We again have a really good format for making sure that it was safe, not just for coronavirus, but having that many cars on campus at once. There's a lot of traffic control involved. So that, that is something that, again, we've done it already. We can absolutely do it again. Again, we'll just have to see how we can adapt to, again, whatever types of regulations are in place at the time.
That was so fun. Mr. Finkel, do you have the video to the car parade that we did? The kids circled all the way around our school and around Four Kicks and back and around. And it was so that I thought it was a great time. The kids really enjoyed it. The parents were really grateful. And so that was pretty nifty. And there is, I think, one of they were saying the favorite tradition was the car parade. I actually thought that it was better than the ones that were done in the past because the route was so much longer. And honestly, it was more control because sometimes it's really scary when they are in that tight circle and they are a little less safe than I would like them. Yes, but so it was really great. But there is a video that's on the AMSA Facebook page. You're going to have to look back to last year, but there's a video of that whole thing, and the PTO was there, and we had signs for the kids, and it was fun.
I wanted to mention real quick about graduation at Four Kicks. The date, we still have to discuss the date. I'm not sure if June 6th will be available there or not.
I thought they said yes. I thought that Pete Jones had already spoken to them and they said that it did. But we'll confirm that for you. But that would be, remember that we're always, and we did this last year, we're always looking for a plan B. So we'll have our plan A plans, which is Hanover Theater. We'll go with plan A until someone tells us we can't. And then we'll go with plan B. I remember last year, in my mind, we were like, all right, well, I'll contact Marlboro and see if we can use their stadium outside, and we'll check these different places. And the kids were like, no, we want Four Kicks because that's kind of been our home. So that's why it is so important to get everybody's input. And
maybe we could have the seniors vote and see if they want Four Kicks as plan A.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So we did the same thing when the prom, and we were canceling the prom, and we scheduled it out, and then we scheduled it out further until we got to a point where it became apparent that the prom, staying within state regs, and then they shut down all those kinds of places, and we couldn't do it. But we will always keep pushing it out until we get something that works.
Yeah, but if there's any change to the date of June 6th, we'll let everyone know. I wasn't aware of that from Mr. Jones, but again, we're meeting with them soon. If there's any change, we'll let you know right away, and we'll also select a rain date, of course, as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, great! Mike Finkel found the video, so you can check out the car parade and see how much fun that was.
Are there any other questions in the chat, or if anybody wants to unmute and jump in with a question?
There was one other question that had been submitted that I just wanted to quickly touch on from a counseling perspective, if that's okay. There was a question about some feelings of not getting great support or information from counselors, feeling like they were on their own for some research. So, we've tried to do a variety of things to figure out how to replicate what we typically do in the building, and some of it's been successful and some of it less so. So for that, I just looked at the stats, and 90% of our kids have applied to at least one college. But that doesn't mean that it's too late, and it doesn't mean that just because your kid hasn't done that yet, it's really fine. Everyone follows their own path through all of this. I'm sorry to that person who feels like they haven't gotten the support they needed. You can definitely reach out to me, and I will help you figure out, where we go from here for you. I think in general, most kids have submitted an application or two, which sort of tells me that at least they're kind of familiar with the process. But if you're feeling like you're still in the research phase and you need some suggestions, just reach out to me and we'll make it happen. And if there's more than one person who's feeling that way, I'm here and we'll get you where you need to be. It's really important to all of us that you feel like you're not on your own on an island trying to figure this out. And I think some kids, found engaging in senior seminar the way we did it difficult, and may not have gotten all of it that we hoped they would. So I agree. I think sometimes the information doesn't always get all the way home to the parents. Sometimes it doesn't get all the way through to the kid in Zoom. So please let me know, and I'm going to put my email in the chat.
Someone asked about speakers for graduation. Traditionally, what we've done is the valedictorian speaks and the salutatorian speaks. Last year, we had a 3-way tie for salutatorian. And so we actually had 4 speakers, 4 student speakers. And then the seniors vote on a teacher to speak. And then so the teacher speaks, and then typically I speak at the end. But they can vote on that too. That's how that typically goes. Someone mentioned about a carnival and prom. I guess the only concern, like outdoor prom, the only thing that we would need to check in, whatever state regulations are in place in May, and with the Board of Health in Marlboro, is how close can the kids get at that point to dance and things. I don't know that, but that's definitely a question for them. Who knows in May, right? By the end of May, all of the educators could please, hopefully, have been vaccinated, hopefully 2 vaccines, right? I'm encouraging our staff very, very strongly to get vaccinated because I think it's really important. Although we all know that not everyone feels the same way about vaccinations, and I respect that as well. But the deal is I'm encouraging everyone to be vaccinated. So let's hope we get all vaccinated end of February and March. And then the most high-risk folks in our community are able to get vaccinated. And who knows, maybe they'll say, it's okay to have a prom as long as you have masks on. And then we can talk about, where we can do that. I just think at the moment it's so up in the air about what we're going to be able to do even after we're vaccinated. We'll follow whatever regulations that they give us and try to be as loose with it as we can to keep everybody safe. So I'm not opposed to a prom outside if we can do it within the state regulations and the CDC regulations to do that.
Looks like there's a question here about Senior Skip Day. I mean, Senior Skip Day isn't technically a sanctioned AMSA event. We want them all to be in school all the time. So I don't know that that's something we can really speak to. We really prefer to have kids come to school.
Yeah,
so they get out early. Really, they do. Like, they get out so early anyway. We want every last minute we can have with them.
We really do, especially prior to AP. Our kids are so amazing. I'll never forget. I was probably a brand new principal, right? Anders and I flying by the seat of our pants. But I remember a group of kids coming into my office asking for permission for a particular prank. It was the year that they brought the petting zoo into the area there. You may remember. And I remember thinking, my gosh, these kids have just asked permission to do a prank. This is unbelievable. And so that's our kids. So typically they'll say, you know, one of us will hear that someone has come and said, just want to let you know this particular day is senior skip day. And as Kate is absolutely right, you know, of course we want the kids in school all the time. And yet, you know, that's their own thing. And we, you know, we certainly appreciate their desire to be independent, but typically we know, and you know, we just want them to be safe in whatever they're doing. But you know, for their prank, I mean, you know, who knows what they can do. They can go down to the school and decorate it for us or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I also approved that prank wholeheartedly and was so excited about it. I was probably as excited about it as the kids were. They had llamas and bunnies, and oh my gosh, it was so much fun. Any other questions about anything?
I have one more resource I'm going to put in the chat as people maybe put in their final questions. So we contract with a group called Interface Referral Service. It's through the William James College. If you are someone, if your student is struggling, or you know of a student struggling that's looking for a counseling referral to an outside counselor, this is a great resource that our counselors often use with students and families. So you can call them, they have a referral line, and then they'll work to help you find a counselor that takes your insurance, is available when you need them to be, has experience with the presenting problem, and if you have any language needs. So it's just a great service that I've been trying to remember to mention anytime I'm with people, because it's important to know. So the link's in the chat. And now I think I really am truly done talking.
Well, you know, I think our overriding message to all of you is that we want to work with you to make this a great end of the year for your kids, no matter where we are or what situation we are in. And for you to know that we have not forgotten about your kids. We are thinking about them all of the time, and want them to have the best experience that we can give them. So if anything comes up, if you have any questions, there was one other point that and of course it jumped out of my head. There's one other point that I was going to make. It's gone, because that's what happens. But we will do whatever we can to make this a good ending for your kids, and celebrate in the best way that we can. All right. Anyone else have any other? Yes, Monique, how are you? You're on mute.
You're having problems with your eyes. I'm having problems with my throat. Air's dry. Pictures. I think somebody had put it in the chat, and trying to figure out how we can get the kids together for their clubs. We're trying to figure out what's actually going in the yearbook.
It's really a question. Has there been any communication from the yearbook staff at all?
Yeah, I've seen a few emails, probably not definitely not anything since the break, but about asking for people to submit photos of anything. I know for our Spirit Week, I got our 6th grade homerooms that took our DS classes, took a screenshot of their group on the Color Wars Day to do that. So I kind of think that, you know, that's an option for some of the clubs. I know it's not quite the same, but honestly, with social distancing, I feel like a picture of a club, everyone's going to be 6 feet apart and in masks. So maybe a screenshot is a better option, honestly. So I think that's something that they, you know, are still actively trying to figure out exactly what to put in. So Miss Amy Mackinnon is the faculty advisor for yearbook. And then there are 3 or 4 students who are involved in the editorial process of that. I know they've been sending emails to their classmates. So I'm sure the seniors have received communications from them, but I think they definitely want submissions. So if anyone had like, again, from the Spirit Week or from, the couple sports that we have had. We've had some of our service groups have done some drives and that sort of thing that they've, done everything socially distant. So we, anytime we can get a photo of something, I think that will be, put in the yearbook, and it will be very different this year, but it will also be very reflective of the kind of year it's been too.
Yeah, just as a thought on the photos for the clubs, if they come together, they've got to have masks on. So you're not going to see anyone's face. So that's not particularly helpful. What do you have for us?
So I'm a part of Yearbook, and one of the things that I wanted to address is that we have been sending out a bunch of emails to students, and we've been told to post on social media and stuff about it. So I've been posting a bunch on Instagram and stuff, reminding people for photos, like especially for Spirit Week. And we're trying to figure out the whole club thing as we speak. We're trying to figure that out and how we can do those photos. We would love any ideas as well, but also any photos that you guys take with friends during this year or of Zoom, send them, because we need as many photos, because we are already short like 10-15 pages, and we're trying to figure out how to fill them. So any photos people have, send them, because they could be very helpful.
Okay.
And the underclassmen individual school photos, we are setting up something through Yearbook Avenue called Yearbook Plus, which is a program where we can send out a link to the community and we can have students upload their own portraits. So we are going to be sending that out, but we need to make sure they're like not inappropriate and they fit a frame. So we'll have some guidance in there, but the yearbook staff will be able to approve them. And so we're working, and we're also going to do that for staff portraits, so we can get staff portraits as well, because the photo company is not taking photos till we are on campus.
So that's for underclassmen, right?
Yeah, that's for underclassmen, because senior portraits have been submitted. So we're not sure if we're going to, so because senior portraits have been submitted, we're not doing the individual photos for seniors anymore.
Cool.
Beautiful job, Zanara. Beautiful.
Thank you, Zanara.
Okay, anyone else have any other questions or suggestions for us? As always, please feel free to communicate with us through email. If you have any thoughts about term 3 ahead, feel free to email Mike, Brianna, myself. We're interested in hearing any thoughts you might want to share around that as well. And we will get the information, the final decision out to you as soon as possible. But if there's anything we can do in the meantime, please let us know.
I did have one idea, and I don't think it's going to be popular with the rest of the school, but it was in my little head. So, in terms of social distancing, have you ever thought, if you can't let everybody else back on campus February 1st, and it's not looking good, could you let the seniors back? So at 144 kids, you could space them out, and they would get a senior year for 4 months, whereas the rest of the kids in the school will still get their AMSA experience next year, God willing. We're all vaccinated, but the seniors won't. Last year's seniors got 3/4 of a year. They got from August through March. This year, the seniors have had zero. So if you had 144 kids spaced out through 3 buildings, you'd have your social distancing.
Yeah, Monique, we have tossed that idea around. We saw it on the suggestions as well. I guess it's complicated. We have a union, as you know, and teachers being willing to come in also because they're scared, just like the rest of us. I can tell you that we tried basketball. And basketball was shut down within a couple weeks. Our boys basketball teams, we had positive cases, and we had to close down the basketball team to quarantine people.
Okay.
And that was really disappointing this week, especially for I'm sure for the kids, for Pete Jones, our athletic director, for us. It just brought to mind that if it's one thing on a basketball team where you have 20 students, but if that one student had gone into the school and now we're quarantining teachers and students, and suddenly everybody is all split up in who's teaching. So there's I don't know, there's so many things to think about, that I don't know how to put that together with teaching staff. I don't think we could
I
ever
thought of it
bring.
because of the colleges. So I know that, there's some of the colleges that are doing it. I know kids who are going back. They have the freshmen going back, and there's some freshmen who are going to college in February.
Right.
I think they may be going, some schools it's just the freshmen, some schools it's freshmen and seniors.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
at university, they're really split up.
Oh, sorry, Monique, I didn't mean to interrupt. I think the other thing that makes it a little tricky is that, if we have some of our classes are just seniors, and so it's like, okay, if we've got 26 kids in an English class, trying to figure out how to spread them out in multiple classrooms, and then are they just on Zoom in classrooms? Like it just, even if we were to find a way, say the HVAC's beautiful, some of our classes are still just seniors, and so figuring out how to divide them up in ways that work, and then we start talking about hybrid, and so
Yeah.
I think it's a really great point, and from a scheduling perspective, anyway, it starts to get a little tricky to figure out. But
Even more difficult, Kate, now that you say it, is really the classes like a math class that are multi-level, right?
Well,
They're
and then there's that.
multi-grade. So once again, you're in a situation where the teacher is maybe teaching the half a dozen 12th graders, but they've got 20 that are on a computer, and it's equity in education and that as well. It's really
It's tricky.
Yeah.
complicated. I don't have any answers yet. But we will have some data from the teacher's point of view on how they're feeling about things. I had a great conversation with a student. I don't know if he's here or his family is here, but this week I was writing a letter of recommendation for him, and I said, okay, if you were me, what would you do? Give it to me. We were talking about leadership and what does that mean. He thought about it for a minute, and he admitted it would be a really difficult decision to make. And then he said, I got to tell you, Miss Lindsay, he said, I think we're being taught the best way that we can at online with our teachers, rather than, he's had friends who haven't had good experiences on hybrid models. And he said, I would keep us out. He says, and that's a hard thing to say as a senior, but he felt that he was getting the best education this way. And if we can provide some social experiences for the kids once the weather gets better on campus, I don't know, Monique. I don't know. I agree with you that like the numbers don't look good for February 1st. I'll be honest with you. They don't. It scares the life out of me. And yet I know that we've got kids that are home and they're lonely and they're, there's other things that we've been talking about is looking at the kids who are most at risk for either failing classes or, really struggling with the isolation, and bringing them back and offering like supervision for them to do their remote learning, but in school. Mm-hmm. And Mike and Brianna right now are working on something to bring about 30 of our kids back who are most at risk. So we're experimenting and looking at things like that, and it won't help your students, but we're definitely going to be running a full AMSA summer school and summer enrichment program for our younger students who need more for this summer coming up. So we're starting to get creative and thinking about ways that we can make sure that our kids are getting the proper education, and they're getting what they need for their futures as well. So it's a rough ride. It's hard to believe that this is actually where we are.
And I feel blessed that I'm not working right now. So September and October was rough. I was working steady. Entertainment industry was back. It's been a blessing that I'm not, because I've literally been able to pop in and pop out of her room, see what's going on. I know she hates the surprise visits, but I mean, I just bust in and see what's going on. What are you doing? What's due? And you talk to parents of little children, it's hard. I have to be home. I have, 3 and 4-year-olds. And I said, I got to tell you, the older kids really do need a parent in this pandemic who's available.
Yeah, they need someone to keep an eye.
Yeah, keep an eye on and make sure that they're doing everything that they're trying to get into college. So
Right.
I had to tell this parent, I beg to differ, but they're different challenges. All of our children need some supervision. And my pocketbook is, suffering, but I've been grateful that I've been able to monitor the process.
Yep, absolutely. It's been a really difficult situation. I will tell you that we've had a number of teachers positive for COVID. You don't even know it.
Wow.
Because and those that have mild cases have continued to teach. They've continued to teach.
Yeah.
And so, if we were all in school, they wouldn't be able to teach. They'd be home and isolated, and so would your kids who came within 6 feet of them.
Exactly.
So they've been able to teach. And we've had some that have missed days. The number of our students who have tested positive, our nurses collecting those names, and the list just keeps getting longer and longer. So it's there, it's out there. The positivity percentage rate in Marlborough is 9.72 right now. It's 14.55, I think, is it in Clinton or Hudson.
Jesus.
And so, it's all of our core towns are red.
Mm-hmm.
It's all we can do is just wait, for this vaccine and keep everybody safe. I feel like I remember feeling, we're starting to get into a conversation now, but I remember feeling in the spring like, wow, I may not be alive in 3 months or 6 months.
You're not kidding me.
I may not be. And now it's like everyone feels so close to a vaccine that it's like, oh, let's just get there,
Yeah,
So,
I agree with you. I was feeling the same way.
yeah.
I was on film sets in Hollywood, and we were actually on a set, and we're like, why haven't they shut us down? Now, we don't shut down. And the actors, we were so afraid that the NBA had shut down, football had shut down. And we're hearing all this on our phones. We're on set. And when Broadway shut down and we were still on the set, and if I told you where we were, you wouldn't, we were filming in an attic of a cathedral, in an attic.
Yeah.
And we were terrified.
Yeah.
And we weren't going to drop off the set. But thank God it got shut down.
Yeah.
In a proper amount of time, and we all got tested.
Good. Well, I thank you all for coming tonight. Please keep communicating with us if there's anything that we can do to make this easier. Kids, look out for your survey from student government. And
Good night, everybody.
We'll keep
Thank
it
you.
moving. Good night, everybody. Good to see you all.
Hi, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you.